retirement. For so many of us, that word holds a special kind of promise. It's supposed to be the reward at the end of a long journey, a time earned through decades of hard work, decades of dedication, decades of sacrifice. It's the vision of golden years spent on your own terms. Perhaps it's spending precious, unhurried time with grandchildren. Or maybe it's simply the freedom to wake up without an alarm. It's a finish line you've been running toward your entire professional life, a time you've planned for, a time you've saved for, a time you've looked forward to. But what happens when that finish line is moved? What if the decision to stop working isn't yours to make? Then one day, completely out of the blue, the career you've dedicated your life to comes to an abrupt and unexpected end. In recent years, thousands of Americans in their 50s, 60s, boomers, say they are being quietly forced out of work earlier than they planned. In this video, we'll dig into how widespread this is, what's behind it, and what you can do if it happens to you or someone you love. Let's begin. Meet Carol, a 62-year-old project manager from Ohio. To her family, she's a mother and a grandmother. In her community, she's a constant, a friendly face at the local farmers market. But for over 3 decades, a core part of her identity was forged within the walls of a single manufacturing company. It was more than a job. It was a second home, a place where she had built a career and a life. For 34 years, she was a loyal and high-performing employee. She hadn't just watched the company evolve, she had helped drive that evolution, mentoring dozens of younger engineers and managers who walked through the doors. She loved the challenge, the camaraderie, the tangible feeling of creating something real. Her plan was simple and clear. She would work until she was 67, pay off her mortgage, and then travel with her husband. It was a future she felt she had earned, one built on a foundation of dedication and hard work. Then came a Tuesday afternoon. The email was brief, the subject line innocuous. Quick sync. She walked into the conference room expecting a routine project update. Instead, she was met by a human resources representative she barely knew. The language was cold, corporate, and impersonal. Her role, she was told, was being eliminated as part of a larger restructuring. The company was moving in a new direction. The entire meeting lasted less than 15 minutes. 34 years of her life reduced to a talking point. Carol walked out in a state of shock, the building she knew so well suddenly feeling alien. Her carefully laid plans for the future didn't just feel shattered. They felt foolish, naive. The phrase role elimination echoed in her mind, but it felt personal. She couldn't help but notice that younger, less experienced colleagues, some of whom she had trained herself, kept their jobs. The unspoken message was deafening. Her experience was no longer a valuable asset, but a liability on a balance sheet. Carol is not alone. Her story represents a silent epidemic affecting millions of older Americans across every industry and region. Thousands of miles away, in the heart of Silicon Valley, 58-year-old software architect David Chen was experiencing his own version of this. After a decade of stellar reviews, a new manager half his age suddenly put him on a performance improvement plan, citing a lack of innovative agility. Despite working nights and weekends to meet impossible metrics, he was let go 3 months later for failing to adapt to the new team culture. These are not isolated incidents of bad luck. They are data points in a staggering national trend. A landmark study by ProPublica and the Urban Institute found that a shocking 56% of workers over the age of 50 are pushed out of a long-term job. Let that sink in for a moment. More than half. This isn't just about formal layoffs. Pushed out is a quiet, insidious process. It's being passed over for promotions you deserve. It's watching your responsibilities get reassigned to younger colleagues. It's receiving a voluntary buyout offer that feels more like a threat. It's being systematically managed out, your confidence eroded until you're forced to quit. It's the slow, painful realization that the company you gave your life to is now actively trying to get rid of you. And what happens after they are pushed out? The study reveals another devastating truth. Very few ever recover financially. Of those who lose their jobs, a mere 10% ever earn as much as they did before. The path back is fraught with obstacles. Age bias, though illegal, is rampant in the hiring process. Recruiters see gray hair and assume a resistance to technology, an inability to learn, or an unwillingness to report to a younger boss. The result is a brutal financial cliff. For the vast majority, this leads to a downward spiral of lower-paying jobs, part-time work with no benefits, or long-term unemployment. The software architect becomes a retail cashier. The project manager finds herself stringing together freelance gigs with no health insurance or 401k. This isn't just a financial crisis, it's an identity crisis. The loss of a career built over decades is a profound psychological blow, leading to depression, anxiety, and a deep sense of worthlessness. The American dream of a secure retirement, the reward for a lifetime of labor, is being systematically dismantled. The social contract that promised stability in exchange for loyalty has been broken. For millions of Americans like Carol and David, the golden years are no longer a time of rest and reward, but a new, terrifying era of financial precarity and uncertainty. It's a widespread crisis that has rewritten the rules of aging and work in America, leaving an entire generation to ask, what now? To understand why so many seasoned professionals are pushed out of the workforce, we must first look past the official reasons and into the shadows. One of the biggest, most pervasive drivers is also one of the hardest to prove: age discrimination. This isn't the overt, illegal prejudice of the past. It's a far more insidious and sophisticated bias that operates beneath the surface. It's rarely spoken aloud. Instead, it's conveyed through coded language and unspoken assumptions. Phrases like, "We need to inject some new energy into the team," or "We're looking for a digital native," become proxies for "we want someone younger." A candidate in their 50s might be told they're overqualified or not a good cultural fit for a workplace dominated by 20-somethings. These are the subtle nudges, the quiet dismissals that accumulate over time. The underlying, often unconscious belief is that older workers are less energetic, less adaptable, or less in touch with modern trends. These biases manifest in 1,000 small cuts. Consider the case of a senior marketing executive with decades of proven success. Suddenly, she finds herself left off the invite list for brainstorming sessions on a new youth-focused campaign. Her input, once sought after, is now implicitly deemed irrelevant. She's passed over for high-profile projects in favor of a younger colleague who is praised for their fresh perspective. She's no longer asked to represent the company at major industry conferences. Each instance, taken alone, is deniable. But together, they form a clear and demoralizing pattern of exclusion. This slow-motion sidelining creates immense psychological pressure. It fosters a constant state of anxiety and self-doubt. You begin to question your own abilities, to wonder if you've lost your touch. The workplace, once a source of identity and purpose, becomes a hostile and unwelcoming environment. The goal, whether conscious or not, is to make the individual feel so isolated and undervalued that leaving feels like their only option. It's a quiet firing, a constructive dismissal that leaves no fingerprints, making it nearly impossible to challenge legally. Beyond the subtle biases of ageism, there is often a much colder, more calculated reason: money. In the unforgiving logic of corporate finance, experienced employees are, quite simply, more expensive. It's not just about a higher base salary, it's the cumulative cost of decades of service, more paid vacation, higher healthcare premiums, larger contributions to retirement and pension plans. When a company is looking to cut costs, these experienced, higher-earning employees become a prime target. The math is brutal and straightforward. A company can often lay off one 60-year-old senior manager and hire two 25-year-old junior employees for the same cost, or even less. On a spreadsheet, this looks like an undeniable win. The headcount might even increase, creating the illusion of growth while simultaneously slashing payroll expenses. This is often cloaked in the language of restructuring, streamlining, or creating a flatter organization. These euphemisms provide a convenient, impersonal justification for what is, in essence, a financial purge of the company's most tenured and most expensive assets. Consider an engineer in the automotive industry with 30 years of institutional knowledge. When his company is acquired by a private equity firm focused on aggressive cost-cutting, his entire department of senior engineers is declared redundant. They are replaced by a small team of recent graduates and outsourced contractors. The decades of loyalty, the deep understanding of the product, the mentorship provided to younger generations, all of it is ignored in the face of short-term financial gains. The long-term consequences, a loss of quality, a decline in innovation, and the erosion of client relationships, are a problem for another quarter, another fiscal year. The immediate priority is the bottom line. Another major force, intertwined with both bias and budget, is the relentless pace of technological change. This fuels a powerful and convenient narrative that older workers can't keep up, the so-called skills gap. The assumption is that anyone over a certain age is inherently technophobic and resistant to learning new systems, new platforms, and new ways of working. But this narrative often masks a deeper failure on the part of the organization itself. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, executed in 3 steps. First, the company fails to invest in proper tailored training for its experienced staff. Instead of hands-on workshops and dedicated support, they offer a single fast-paced webinar, assuming a one-size-fits-all approach will suffice. Second, when the older employee inevitably struggles to master the new tool without adequate support, it reinforces the initial bias in the eyes of management. They see the struggle not as a failure of training, but as proof of the employee's inability to adapt. Finally, this manufactured skills gap is used as a pretext, a documented performance-based reason to let that person go. But the idea that older workers won't or can't learn is largely a myth, unsupported by evidence. Studies consistently show that mature learners are highly motivated, bringing decades of problem-solving experience to new challenges. They understand context and see the big picture in ways that less experienced colleagues often can't. When given the right tools and a supportive environment, they are more than capable of mastering new technologies. The real issue is rarely a lack of ability or willingness to learn. It is a systemic lack of opportunity, investment, and belief from the very organizations they have served for years. When the career you've dedicated your life to is abruptly taken away, what follows is something much heavier than shock, a profound sense of shame. This shame often leads to a self-imposed isolation. Many older workers who are pushed out retreat from their social circles, feeling their new status as unemployed diminishes them. This silence is often reinforced by non-disclosure agreements. They are essentially paid to be silent, which deepens the feeling of being wronged and powerless. This combination of personal shame and enforced silence creates a crushing emotional weight, a private burden carried in quiet desperation. A forced retirement doesn't just impact the individual, it sends shockwaves through the entire family. The financial strain creates tension within a marriage. The shared dream that had bonded them becomes a source of anxiety. The forced retirement stole not just financial security, but the joyful future they'd planned together. The impact ripples down to the next generation. The financial support system boomers planned to provide their children often vanishes. A carefree retirement is often replaced by a barista retirement, taking low-wage jobs just to make ends meet, living a smaller, more constrained life than imagined. If you feel you are being pushed out, you are not powerless. Your most critical work begins now. The first step is to meticulously document everything. Keep a private journal at home, never on company equipment. Log every instance of perceived bias, unsettling comments, sudden exclusions from key meetings, or projects inexplicably reassigned. Note the date, time, who was present, and exactly what was said or done. For example, if a manager jokes about you being too old for the new software, write it down verbatim. If you receive an email with coded language about needing fresh energy on a team, save it to a personal drive. This log creates a factual record to combat gaslighting and self-doubt, and can become your most invaluable evidence. If you are presented with a severance agreement, do not sign it immediately. These documents almost always require you to waive your right to sue for age discrimination. The Older Workers Benefit Protection Act, OWBPA, gives workers over 40 at least 21 days to consider the offer, and 7 days to revoke their signature after signing. Use this time to seek legal advice from an employment lawyer. They can assess your claim and negotiate for a better package. Consider the story of a 58-year-old project manager laid off with a standard 2-month severance. Her lawyer identified a pattern of other employees over 55 also being let go. By highlighting this potential group claim, they negotiated a 9-month package and a year of paid health insurance. You can also contact the EEOC, which investigates these claims. The shock of a job loss can be paralyzing, but it's crucial to take immediate control of your finances to regain a sense of agency. Start by building an emergency budget. List all incoming cash, final paycheck, vacation payout, severance. Then, track your expenses, dividing them into essentials like housing and groceries and discretionary items. Calculate your financial runway, how many months your savings can cover essential costs. Knowing this number transforms vague anxiety into a concrete time frame to plan your next move. Prioritize health insurance. Do not let your coverage lapse. Losing your job is a qualifying life event, giving you a special enrollment period. Your first option is COBRA, which continues your old plan, but you'll pay the full, often expensive, premium. A more affordable route is the ACA Marketplace at healthcare.gov, where you may qualify for subsidies based on your lower income. If your spouse has a plan, getting added is often the most cost-effective choice. It may seem like an extra expense, but one medical emergency could create a financial crisis far worse than the job loss itself. A late career job loss is a blow to your identity, not just your bank account, and can trigger profound shame. The instinct is to retreat, but now is the time to reach out, not isolate. Secrecy breeds loneliness. Be vulnerable with those you trust, your partner, children, or closest friends. Letting people in eases the emotional burden and can lead to surprising support. You may find others in your circle have faced similar challenges and can offer perspective. Also, consider professional help. A therapist or career coach can provide a safe space to process feelings and develop strategies. As the shock subsides, think creatively about what's next. The traditional career ladder may be broken, but new possibilities are opening up. Consider consulting or freelance work. Your decades of experience are a marketable asset that gives you control over your time. Or build a portfolio career, mixing part-time work with serving on a nonprofit board, mentoring, or pursuing a passion project. This could also be the moment for an encore career that prioritizes social impact and personal meaning over salary. This isn't about settling. It's about strategically redesigning your work life to fit your priorities now. It is absolutely essential to internalize this truth. Your worth was never tied to a job title. Your value as a human being was never defined by the logo on your business card or the floor your office was on. That was simply one role you played in a long and complex life. This is not the end of your story. It's an unexpected and deeply unwelcome plot twist. But it does not get to write your final chapter. Your personal journey is part of a larger societal challenge to dismantle bias against older workers. We must build a culture that genuinely values a multi-generational workforce, not just as a slogan, but in practice. This isn't simply about fairness. It's a strategic imperative. The most innovative organizations are those where the wisdom of experienced workers collaborates with the fresh perspectives of younger generations, creating an environment where mentorship is a two-way street and innovation can thrive. This transition forces a hard look at retirement benefits. If you're considering taking them early, understand the long-term trade-offs. In the US, you can start Social Security at 62, but your monthly benefit will be permanently reduced compared to waiting until your full retirement age, typically 67. Claiming at 62 can reduce your benefit by up to 30%, while waiting until age 70 can significantly increase it. The right choice is personal. If you need the income, claiming early may be necessary. But if you can bridge the gap, delaying can dramatically increase your lifetime income. Consult a financial advisor to weigh your options. If this has happened to you, it is a chapter in your life, not the whole book. The anger, fear, and grief are real and valid. Allow yourself space to feel them, but do not let them become your permanent address. Your future is still unwritten. You are resilient. You have navigated decades of technological, economic, and personal change. That resilience is your superpower. You have so much more to contribute, whether in a new career, a business of your own, your community, or your family. The world still needs your wisdom. Responsibility is shared. Employers must foster inclusive workplaces. Policymakers must enforce anti-discrimination laws, and society must value the experience of older adults. True security comes when all these groups work together to ensure no one is left behind. Being forced into early retirement is both a financial and emotional challenge. Know that you're not alone, and there are steps you can take to protect your future and rebuild your confidence. We're here to give you the tools and hope to turn setbacks into opportunities. Thank you for watching. If this video spoke to you, please subscribe, like, and share your experiences in the comments. Your story could inspire someone else. Together, we can build a stronger future. Thanks for watching Building Wealth Today TV.